set, Jay? Notice is hereby given of the regular meeting of the Board of Education of the Town of Westfield in the County of Union, New Jersey at 7:30 p.m. on the evening of Tuesday, August 30th, 2016, in the boardroom of the Administration Building, 302 Elm Street, Westfield, New Jersey. The purpose of the meeting is to transact the regular business of the Board and to transact any other business to come properly before the Board. This is to advise the general public and to instruct that it be recorded in the minutes that in compliance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, entitled the Open Public Meetings Act, the Westfield School Board on Thursday, August 25th, 2016, caused to be posted at the office of the Board of Education located at 302 Elm Street, Westfield, New Jersey, and delivered to the Westfield Leader, the Star Ledger, the Westfield Library, Town Clerk of Westfield, Tap into Westfield, and Patch.com, a meeting notice setting forth the time, date, and location of this meeting. Dana, can we have a roll call, please?
Mark Friedman.
Here.
Brendan Galligan. Robert Garrison.
Here.
Chris Langhart.
Here.
Ginny Lights.
Here.
Gretchen Olich.
Here.
Peggy Oster.
Here.
Charles Ostroff. Amy Root.
Here. Can you please rise and join me in the flag salute? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Announcements. Amy, do you have any announcements?
I do. In case you have not heard, Newsweek ranked Westfield High School number 67 in this year's list of top high schools in the nation. In that same ranking, Westfield High School placed second in open enrollment high schools in New Jersey. Newsweek used school performance data from the National Center for Education Statistics to narrow down the list of 15,819 schools. The methodology included factors such as graduation rate, college enrollment, advanced placement enrollment, weighted SAT and ACT scores, ratio of counselor to student, and holding power as measured by changes in 9th grade to 12th grade enrollment rates. In addition, in the September issue of New Jersey Monthly, Westfield High School ranked number 8 on its list of top 100 public high schools in the state.
Awesome. Thank you. Mark, do you have anything?
I have no announcements.
How about you, Rob?
Yes. Today marked the second day of Westfield's New Staff Institute, which is held every year as an orientation for new teaching, support, and administrative staff in the district. New staff will receive additional support throughout the school year during 9 meetings scheduled through the New Staff Institute. They also will have the valuable advice of their individual mentors. I attended along with several of the board members today. I thought it was excellent. Had a chance to meet some folks that I haven't met before in terms of administration and also a couple of the new teachers. It was a really good event.
Great. Chris?
Yes. Back to School Nights begin September 15th and will be held through October 6th. The dates and locations are posted on the district and individual school websites. In addition, the schedules of various orientations for students, parents, or families are also posted. We welcome our families to a new and rewarding school year.
I have an announcement about our STEM camp this summer. STEM camp celebrated its 4th year this summer with more than 340 girls and boys who are entering grades 3 through 8. They participated in hands-on real-world activities with a workshop for every interest. To read more about the activities and see photos, check the In the News section of the district website. Again, a successful event, just growing every year. Very exciting.
Yes.
I just want to let everybody know that I brought the good news at the end of school, letting you know that school was ended. And now I'm going with the bad news. I just want to remind everybody that school begins for all students on Thursday, September 8th. Teachers will report on September 6th and will attend an in-service on September 7th.
Thank you. I guess it depends on your perspective, whether that's good or bad news. The next Board of Education meeting will be held on Tuesday, September 20th at 7:30 p.m. at 302 Elm Street, and the agenda will be available on our board website on Friday, September 16th. Do you have any announcements?
I do not.
At this point, I'll recognize the public for agenda items only. Seeing no one come to the podium, we will jump right into the superintendent's report. Dr. Dolan.
Thank you. And this evening, there are 2 superintendent reports. First one deals with the district and board goals for the year, and the second one is a required state report regarding anti-bullying Bill of Rights for the state and the school self-assessments. So starting with the district goals. So those who follow board meetings know that last spring, we had a group of community members and district employees who participated in developing the strategic plan for 2016 to 2021 for the Westfield Public Schools. Once that plan was in place, and it was certainly shared with the entire community through board meetings and putting it on the website, the board then got to work talking about and what will be our goals for the first year, what is going to be our focus out of that strategic plan to start moving us towards reaching the goals of the plan. And at a board workshop at the end of the year, the board determined 3 basic district goals to focus on this year. And I'll go through them briefly now. So the first one talked about providing professional development for the teaching staff to encourage resiliency and coping skills in our students. This topic came up both from community members and from district staff, talking about certainly in all of our lives we are faced with disappointments. They can be large or small, and no matter what their size, they could feel large to us at that time. Perhaps we're trying hard to reach something and we don't meet that, or perhaps we have a tragedy of some sort in our family, as happened too many times this summer in Westfield. So the focus of this goal is to try to first work with our staff, make sure they have an understanding of what options are when you are faced with challenges and tragedies. What helps us to become resilient? And once the adults have a sense of that, mainly our teachers and staff, but also parents as well, how can we help the students with that? What can we put in place to try to help our students? So the different steps that we're taking, we've worked on it this summer, and at the very beginning of the year, actually on next Wednesday, when we have a full day in-service for staff, all of our teaching staff will be at an afternoon in-service on resiliency taught by Dr. Zambrano, who is an expert in the field and will be working with us. So starting at the very beginning of the year, we're going to work on this goal. And as the year progresses, we'll have other sessions. People like our counselors will have specific sessions because they are often the ones who work with students who have challenges. And then we'll be receiving feedback to see what else should we be doing. But this will get us started on that goal of building resiliency. The second goal has to do with developing a parent outreach program. We talked about this quite a bit also at the strategic planning process. And we certainly have a variety of different programs offered to parents, but here our vision is to have a more coordinated program, and to, before we plan them, to meet with parents themselves and get their input as to, so what are topics where you would really benefit from, and also, and the world changes, people are very busy, what is the best way for us to present these to you? Very often, parent groups and school staff spend a lot of time putting together an evening program for parents, and then we promote it, and we don't have a large turnout. And there are a lot of reasons for that, including people are just busy. So what can we do to try to address that need and make programs available that make the best use of people's times, are held at times that are more convenient, and also what online resources can we provide so when there is a problem, whatever time the parent has time to check online, they'll have a resource for it. So this is our goal. Again, we're starting with some focus groups of parents to get their input before we plan the sessions. And the third district goal talks about increasing teacher utilization of online course management. Certainly, I think all of us have experienced in our lives how technology can help some things be more efficient. It doesn't take the place of everything, but it does help with efficiency. So we really are doing quite a push to try to make sure that we provide enough professional development and support for our teachers to help them translate maybe processes they've had in place for quite a while. How do we translate that and have technology help us make that more efficient? We did some courses over the summer. Over 70 teachers took advantage of that and took optional courses over the summer. All of our new staff have been trained in the past 2 days on online course management. Additionally, all of our elementary teachers on the morning of September 7th will receive differentiated instruction in this. We've already sent out to all of the elementary teachers a self-survey to let us know what level they're on. You know, have they had any experience? Are they experts in it? And we have different levels of courses available on September 7th for our elementary teachers. And then because we have two teachers who really are experts in the use of technology in education, they will continue to support our teachers throughout the course of the year. And we'll be surveying teachers to see what else is needed, what else we can do, and how we can keep moving forward as technology changes constantly. So it's an overview of our 3 district goals. I can pause, take a breath before I start talking about the 2 goals that the board is going to work on.
I would just say I'm glad to see our District Goal 1 focused on resiliency. The more I talk about with parents and their kids, that just the anxiety and stresses that kids go through and the skills they need to cope with that seems to be more and more prevalent in my conversation. So the more we could do to encourage ways for the kids, our students, to deal with these things, the better, I think.
All right, and we do have 2 board goals as well. They're actually for 2016-17. And the first board goal talks about ensuring that the work of committees, some people in the audience may not know this, but the board meets as a whole for these public board meetings. But other than that, the board is broken into different committees that meets throughout the rest of the month and the weeks. So what's really important is when 4 board members meet together as a policy committee or finance or facilities, all the different committees, it's important that that's communicated to the rest of the full board. So that's what the first goal speaks about, having the chair of each committee complete minutes that are circulated to the rest of the board in a timely manner. So everyone's on the same page, has the same information when they join together as the board. And the second one talks about participating in a board workshop focused on governance. Being on a board is very different than most activities you'll experience in life. In life, we all have different jobs. We know what our responsibilities are. When the 9 people from the community volunteer, are voted in, and arrive at this table, they're one voice. And they only are a board when they meet together. So it requires education to make sure that we all understand what is governance, what does a Board of Education do, and what doesn't it do. It certainly doesn't run the district, but it is the governing body. So we've already planned, actually for our next board meeting, we have a speaker coming to work with the board in a board workshop on this. All right, that would be the first presentation. I can again pause before moving into the second presentation.
Everybody good? Any questions for Dr. Ball?
The second presentation is a requirement of the state. The state has an anti-bullying Bill of Rights. It has many sections to it. And one part of it is every school, every public school in New Jersey is required to complete a self-assessment. There are very specific rules how this is done. Every public school in New Jersey has to have a committee. The committee is made up of the administrator in the building, teachers, and a parent. And again, it's very specified in the laws to who's on that committee. And that committee has to, towards the end of the year, go through a checklist provided by the state and determine how well they're doing on the various aspects of this anti-bullying Bill of Rights. The anti-bullying Bill of Rights has 8 core elements. You'll see HIB listed here a lot. HIB is an acronym for harassment, intimidation, and bullying. So the first aspect, the first element, is that we provide programs in our schools so that our students understand what is bullying, what is intimidation, what is harassment, what should not be allowed, what you should report if you see, when you can try to step in and stop something. So those programs are implemented in every school. They're different at different levels, but they're implemented in every school. We have to have specific training just on the Board of Education approved HIV policy. That's a requirement, and there are a number of steps in the state's checklist regarding that. There has to be other instruction for staff and training programs. For example, as I think everyone knows, more and more, everything that's available on the internet provides opportunities for some people to feel anonymous and to participate in bullying or harassment. So we have constant training so people are aware of what the latest trends are and what we can do to help that, even though it often doesn't happen anywhere near school. There's also how is harassment, intimidation, and bullying instruction included in curriculum. Often that is in the health curriculum, but it can also be in literature. Some of what the students read talks about the right way to treat people and the wrong way to do that. It can be in social studies. There are certainly enough examples in history of when people did not treat each other appropriately, and we can learn from that as well. HIB personnel. The state law requires that every school have an anti-bullying specialist. Now, we don't hire somebody with that title. It's someone who already has a full-time job, but they are also given the responsibility to be an anti-bullying specialist. Generally, it's a counselor or a child study team member, and those people have specific training in how to do investigations and how to work with students in these matters. There are very specific laws and timelines for how any harassment, intimidation, bullying incident must be reported, and then once it's reported, how exactly the district has to investigate it and respond to it, and then how it is reported to the state. Those are very, very specific rules. So on all those core elements and subcategories on all of those elements, the committee that I spoke about a few minutes ago has to rate how their school is doing this particular year. And the scores aren't static. I think most years people stress one aspect of it more than another, so you would expect to see some changes in the numbers from year to year. But that's the rating categories as assigned by the state. The state also requires that I list out all of the scores for all of the schools on all of the aspects of all of the elements. That might not be incredibly helpful, but it's required, so it is listed there. You can see in general that our schools, and just about every aspect, not every, but almost every aspect, are either meeting the requirements or exceeding the requirements. When you see if they're partially meeting it, well, what that means is next year that school has to work on that aspect of it more than they had this year. It's an area of growth for the following year. All of those numbers are tallied up, and each school gets a grade based on that. The highest score, I believe, is 78. And on this slide, you can see what the scores were in 2015-16 as compared to how they were in 2014. Again, you do see some movement, but honestly, that's what helps us determine what to focus on in each school for each year. It is an ongoing process. I don't think you ever fix it. You just keep on working on it. You identify new challenges, and you work with students, both students who are feeling bullied and students who are bullying and are treating people inappropriately. And what I try to remind everyone every chance I get is our students learn from us. They learn from the teachers. They learn from how the board conducts itself at this table. They learn from parents. And how they see us treating others is how they're learning to treat others. And what we do is truly important. We can disagree, but we have to do it in a way that's appropriate. And that's really the strongest way that our children learn how to treat each other appropriately. So whenever I have a chance, I remind all of us, we all have a role in that. Every school does have an anti-bullying specialist. This is listed on all our web pages. It's on the district web page, it's on the school web pages. We also have a district-wide anti-bullying coordinator. That's Joseph Malanga, who is the principal of Wilson School. And when anyone has any questions, please feel free to reach out to any of these people. They are there to help and assist. We want to make sure that we're helping all the students appropriately treat others. It truly is important. It's an important aspect of what we do.
Anybody have any questions about the anti-bullying report? This is an annual report. Don't we do something mid-year?
So this is an annual report, but there are other annual reports that are required. Twice a year, in addition to this, twice a year I have to report the number of incidents and the type of incidents. I could be wrong, but I think I have another one regarding this. I think I have 4 during the course of the year. But this one is required now. Actually, on the addendum, there is a resolution to adopt these so that it can be submitted to the state. Okay.
Anything else?
No, those are the two reports for tonight.
I'd like to ask the board to approve the minutes of our last board meeting, which was held on June 21st, 2016, and the private minutes of that same date. Can I have a second? Thank you, Brendan. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm going to abstain since I did not make the meeting, either one.
Thank you. Personnel, Mark.
I'd like the board to consider personnel items 1 through 72, 68 through 72 were at your table as an addendum. Have a second?
Second.
Jenny, thank you. Dr. Dolan, did you want to call out anything in here? Introduce anybody? Or?
I do. I'll speak about the two people, and then we'll probably have a vote, and then maybe see if they want to come up after that. So I'm very pleased tonight, among the different personnel resolutions we have, I'm pleased to recommend Dr. Derek Nelson to be the acting principal of Westfield High School. Dr. Nelson has served us in two of our buildings. He was the assistant principal in Roosevelt School and also assistant principal at Westfield High School. In both roles, he's done an excellent job working with our staff, working with our students, and I know he takes the recommendation to be acting principal of Westfield High School very seriously and has been working hard to make sure our high school is well ready for the beginning of the year. Additionally, I'm very happy to recommend Mabel Hun as the acting assistant principal for Westfield High School, taking Derek Nelson's position. So Mabel has served us well in Westfield High School for, I believe it's 14 years, is that correct? About that, okay, as a chemistry teacher. And has also been active in our school, has done internships, and has been a great help to our school in general. So we're really looking forward to having Mabel on the administrative team as well.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. Dana?
Mark Friedman,
Yes.
Brendan Galligan,
Yes.
Robert Garrison,
Yes.
Chris Langhart,
Yes.
Jenny Lights,
Yes.
Gretchen Oleg,
Yes, except I abstain and recuse myself from number 28.
Peggy Oster,
Yes.
Amy Root.
Yes.
So, congratulations, and I understand maybe you'd like to say a few words. No pressure, but if you'd like to, we'd love to have you.
No pressure. No pressure.
First and foremost, I'd like to thank the Board of Education and Dr. Dolan for your faith in me to be able to work at such a wonderful place. I can honestly say that I feel blessed every morning that I come into work. You know, I work with such a great and wonderful group of people, from the teachers all the way down to the custodians and all the way back up. It's wonderful to come to a place where it's community, you know, and it feels more like family than work. And whenever you have that type of situation, it's a blessing. It's a blessing for me, and I hope to be a blessing for our students at Westfield High School and for the staff. So thank you very much.
Yes.
There's a couple of sentences.
Yeah, just want to thank you very much for this opportunity for me to serve Westfield from a different perspective. I'm very excited beyond words, but definitely looking forward to continue working closely with the staff, teachers, parents, and the students of Westfield High School. I think we're going to have a wonderful school year. Looking forward to it. Thank you very much for all your support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're thrilled to have you both. Looking forward to the years. Thank you. Thanks for coming tonight. Anything else?
No, ma'am.
Facilities, Brendan.
Yes, we had a lot of summer projects going on this year, as we approved through the bond last year. I believe Dana has a full update to the minute.
Yes, so we have been very busy. First, in all of our schools, we changed all of the PA systems and the clocks, so they're all new digital systems. They'll all be up and running. They're all up and running now. We're in the process of testing them all this week, and they'll all be in place for the start of school. In addition to that, all of the elementary schools have completed the Wi-Fi upgrades, so now all of our schools, district-wide, have been upgraded. We are part of the bond was to replace fire alarms in 8 schools. 3 of those were done this summer, Jefferson, McKinley, and Franklin. The systems are in, they're not yet tested, and we haven't yet had approval to use them, so we'll be opening school with the old systems in place, and sometime soon after the start of school, the new systems will switch over. At the high school, we replaced the partition in the main gym, the operable partition. That work was completed this week. At McKinley, we installed a chairlift to give wheelchair access from the bottom level to the second level, and that was in this week. We finished having it installed, and we're just waiting on final approvals to use that as well. So that may not be operating next week, but in a couple weeks it will be. Phase 2 of security upgrades in all of the schools, we've developed plans and we've issued purchase orders. That work will get done in the school year just because we simply didn't have time to get it done this summer. And they did work last year on security, and they do that after hours, largely after hours, and it's not disruptive to the classroom, so that will get done probably starting in fall. As you know, we awarded a contract last year for solar, and that was through a purchase power agreement, so the district is actually not paying for that. We have a company that is going to install it, and they'll actually own the panels, and then they'll sell the electricity back to us at a reduced rate. They've been working on the engineering designs. They are ready to submit for permits to the town of Westfield. We expect in the next week or so they'll be looking for permits. Sometime in the end of September, early October, they'll start the work again after hours, so that we don't disrupt the schools at all. And we expect that work to be finished by the end of the calendar year, and that we should be able to start seeing some savings before the end of the budget year. Those were the big projects we did. In addition to that, we actually did a number of smaller projects. We did floor and ceiling replacements, painting, cement repairs district-wide, quite a bit of stuff. We're also in the process of planning for next summer for the rest of the referendum projects that we have coming on board, and we will begin probably very soon talking about the auditorium renovations, so that we can get those ready to go as soon as school ends for next summer. So we're in good shape. As I mentioned, Jefferson had a lot of work done, so that school is probably right now a little bit behind the others, but they're all going to be up and running for next week.
That's great. I'm sure that has been a tremendous amount of work for Mike Morris and his staff and all the custodial workers, so please pass on our thanks and appreciation. Yeah.
First facilities committee meeting will be September 30th, 8 a.m.
Do we have a Dana or Brenda, do we have a boiler cut over this fall?
Oh, we have 2, did you say boiler?
Boiler.
Yeah, we had 2 boilers. Did I skip that?
Yes.
Yeah.
We had 2 boilers that we replaced this summer. Jefferson and that was another project at Jefferson. Jefferson and Wilson. The boilers are all installed. They're now in the process of installing the piping to the boilers, and both schools will be up and running in time for October 15th.
Right,
Heat.
because October 15th is the
Yes.
date certain that we have to be ready
Yep.
to roll.
And we're on track for that.
Excellent.
Thanks, Dana. Long-range planning. Ginny, any report?
No report.
Policies, Chris.
Yes, I'd like the board to consider for approval a second reading of the 9 policies we have listed in the agenda. Can I have a second? Jenny, thank you. Anybody have any questions?
Which meeting were these the first reading?
This was
They
that.
weren't at the 21st. Were they the meeting before that?
That must have been the 14th then.
Yes, I guess that was
Because we
it.
would have had to have done it, right?
Yeah.
So it must have been the 14th.
Yeah, it was the day I moved, so.
I believe that's right.
It's no
Yeah.
excuse.
So you weren't.
It was all
Any other questions? Dana?
Mark Friedman.
Yes.
Brendan Galligan.
Yes.
Robert Garrison.
Yes.
Chris Langhart.
Yes.
Ginny Lights.
Yes.
Gretchen Oldick.
Yes.
Peggy Oster.
Yes.
Amy Root.
Yes.
Second item, I've asked the board to affirm the superintendent's decision on HIB incident 16F02 for the reasons set forth in our report on that incident. Now, second.
Second.
Rob? Dana?
Mark Friedman.
Yes.
Brendan Galligan.
Yes.
Robert Garrison.
Yes.
Chris Langhart.
Yes.
Jenny Lights.
Yes.
Gretchen Oleg.
Yes.
Peggy Oster.
Yes.
Amy Root.
Yes.
And finally, I think we'll have a policies meeting on September 29th. It was originally listed as the 27th, but I think we're going to have to move that, so we're shooting for the 29th now. That's all I have.
Great, thank you. Curriculum, instruction, and programming, I'd like to ask the board to approve items 1 and 2 on the agenda. Can I have a second, please? Ginny, thank you. Item 1 is the anticipated district field trips that were set forth in attachment 9, and then item 2, curriculum that we probably at the same meeting on September 14th we had first reading for. Any questions, comments? Great, Dana.
Mark Friedman.
Yes.
Brendan Galligan.
Yes.
Robert Garrison.
Yes.
Chris Langhart.
Yes.
Jenny Lights.
Yes.
Gretchen Oleg.
Yes.
Peggy Oster.
Yes.
Amy Root.
Yes.
We have our first curriculum meeting on September 15th at 9 a.m. for the curriculum committee. Finance, Mark.
I'd like the board to consider finance items 1 through 21. Second, Ginny, thank you. Also, just would like to call out a gift. We'd like to accept a gift of $9,200 from the Westfield Coalition for the Arts to purchase 5 new baritones for the Westfield High School Marching Band. Thank you very much for that. Any questions or comments? Okay, Dana, please.
Mark Friedman.
Yes.
Brendan Galligan.
Yes.
Robert Garrison.
Yes.
Chris Langhart.
Yes.
Jenny Lights.
Yes.
Gretchen Oleg.
Yes.
Peggy Oster.
Yes.
Amy Root.
Yes.
And the first finance meeting, I believe, is September 9th, Friday morning, 8 o'clock.
Thank you. Chris, can I back up for 1 second? September 29th is Westfield High School back to school night.
Oh.
It may only be me that that
Okay.
impacts, but we should just make sure that that's,
I talked to Rosemary. Yeah, I think that the prior weekend is when we have the schools convention, right? So we're going to lose people.
That's in October, we
That's
have
the
that.
following. It's
Yeah.
2 weekends after.
So
Oh.
we'll send an email
Yeah, we'll
out.
figure
How's
it
Yeah,
that?
okay, okay.
Yeah, She
Sorry.
did mention it to me today.
Right,
We'll send
yeah.
that out to get new dates.
legislation, Brendan.
No report. I believe our first meeting will be on September 13th. I'm going to attempt to meet a little bit more regularly this year,
Great, thank you.
especially as we enter the gubernatorial election.
Yes.
I imagine a lot of ideas will be thrown out there, and I want to stay on top of it.
Great. Technology. Peggy, any report?
I have no report. Our first meeting is September 16th, was moved to the 23rd.
You got Wi-Fi done already, that's impressive.
She's been busy.
I'm not gonna take credit for that. I'll let Mitch tweet about that.
Well, don't worry. I'm sure he has.
Probably been there, done that.
I'd ask the board to note the notes for the record. And do we have any unfinished business? Any new business? Liaison reports. I'm sure you probably don't have any, given that it's the beginning of the year. Everybody has their
Must have one.
PTO and other committee liaison assignments. Please remember that if you cannot make one, to try and reach out to another board member to get someone to cover for you, especially the PTO liaison meetings.
I think we missed an addendum for policies.
Oh, we did. Chris, there was a addendum at the table for a policy,
Oh.
item 3, so,
Sorry.
thank you.
Oh, I should not see that. Okay, thank you for calling that out. Item number 3, I'd like the board to consider the school self-assessments for the HIB grades for the following schools: Westfield High School, Edison Intermediate, Roosevelt Intermediate, Franklin, Jefferson, McKinley, Tamaulipas, Washington, Wilson, and Lincoln, and Wilson Elementary Schools and Lincoln Preschool. Can I have a second? Thank you, Jenny. Any questions? Dana?
Mark Friedman.
Yes.
Brendan Galligan.
Yes.
Robert Garrison.
Yes.
Chris Langhart.
Yes.
Jenny Lights.
Yes.
Gretchen Oleg.
Yes.
Peggy Oster.
Yes.
Amy Root.
Yes.
Great. So we finished liaison reports. So at this point, I'd like to recognize anyone in the public for questions or comments, items not on the agenda. I'd ask you to just come to the podium, state your name and address.
Hi, I'm Maria Constantino. I live at 813 Sherbrooke Drive. I'm here today regarding a policy issue that I think requires the board's attention. I have a middle schooler. I also have a rising high schooler and an elementary schooler. And it's come to my attention that we as parents have overrides in the classes the children are able to take at the high school level, but not at the middle school level. My son has been recommended for the regular math curriculum, and for various reasons, I believe that he should be in the advanced math class. And I've been told that the middle school does not offer the parent override, regardless of the situation. I've had, similar meetings regarding my daughter in high school, and there is the parent override there. It's particularly concerning in math because the middle school and high school curriculums in math are related. So what happens is, in 7th grade, you take either Math 7 or pre-algebra, which is considered the advanced math. Then in 8th grade, you take algebra if you were in the advanced program. In 9th grade, you have no choice but to take algebra if you did not take it in middle school. And so what we're saying by not allowing middle school parents to have this override is that the choice that is otherwise afforded to them in high school is not available to them. So I could get into more details about why I think it's appropriate for my son, but I think it is an interesting policy issue that the board should address. I've been trying to speak with various members of the Roosevelt faculty. I spoke with Dr. Dolan and Mr. Pinero, and I think that's what it comes down to. It's not a question of my son, which I do believe that he should be in the advanced class, but I think it's a bigger policy issue where one of our policies is in direct conflict with another.
Thank you. Yeah, we spoke earlier today by phone a little bit, and I told Maria that I thought that it was something that the board should take a look at. I don't have enough information, and I know Dr. Dolan probably doesn't at this point, to really have an answer as to why we have one policy at the middle school and why we have a different one at the high school, or why we have that practice. And so we just need to educate ourselves on the reasoning, the historical reasoning, and yeah, I think it's a conversation that the board needs to circle back and have. So I appreciate you bringing it to our attention.
I mean, I would like to discuss what can be done for my son. I appreciate that you need to look into it, and I have another child, so many of us may benefit from improvement in the policy, but I am concerned about his particular situation. He got his course load today, and I've been told that he should start in the regular math curriculum. He should see how he does, and if he, does very well, then at some predetermined, undetermined, I should say, point in the year, he would be moved into the advanced class. To me, that seems very disruptive to the child. It disrupts not only the one class, but it also disrupts another class because I understand he would have the same teacher, so the same teacher can't teach the regular class and the advanced class in the same period, so we have to do a double switch. So, you all spoke about resiliency earlier. I don't know why we were making life harder on this one child by doing that to him when he could be in the advanced class from the beginning. To me, that's just, putting him in a very difficult situation, and I don't think that is justified.
And I appreciate that as well. Again, I'll just repeat what I said when we spoke on the phone, that there's a criteria for a reason, and it's not arbitrary, but it's it's driven by data. And he didn't meet the criteria, but that an alternative has been offered. And if there's, I think that Paul and the administration at Roosevelt, they've offered this alternative, and it has been successful for other students that are in similar situations to your son in the past. And I think I indicated to you that I was going to try and get some additional level of detail for you so that you would feel more comfortable about that, but that's the option that's available for your son right now.
the thing is, basically what we've said is that the criteria for the placement in the advanced math are 3 A's in any of the first 3 marking periods or the midterm exam. Typically, we don't have the benefit of waiting for the final exam or the final marking period. In this case, my son got 3 A's if you include the 4th marking period and the final exam. So basically what we're saying is that an A in the 3rd marking period counts more than an A in the 4th marking period. So I recognize we have to have a cutoff because we have to make schedules for, you know, a very large number of students, but it just doesn't make any sense that we can't have, you know, already look at what he has done. So I've tried to present that data regarding his specific performance, which I believe is unique and not like anyone else's performance. And I you know, have been not heard on that point. So I'm asking to be heard on the policy choice. Either way, I just see that there's only one option that does not put him in a difficult situation.
I don't know that, I mean, I hear you, and I understand that you haven't gotten the response that you wanted, which is that that an exception could be made for him. I think I indicated to you that I do not believe that he's unique in those circumstances, that if an exception were made for him, then there's a group of students that, you know, that it puts in at a disadvantage. And so, yeah, you certainly have caused us to go back, and when I say us, I mean the administration, the math supervisor, you know, folks at Roosevelt have certainly gone back. We've talked a lot about the criteria, why it's there. Does it still make sense? Is it still the right criteria? So I don't know, that's probably cold comfort, but I want to assure you that this district has given a lot of attention to how we place students in the middle school in the math program. And that's what it is today, and that's the decision that's been made regarding your son.
And as I said, I just don't understand why nothing can be done when we see that there's a problem with one individual student, why we can't address the needs of one individual student. We're putting him in an untenable situation where I'm going to be teaching him math, best case scenario, over the holiday break. Because if he does great in the regular class, he's going to go into a more advanced class after the holidays in which the other students are 3 chapters ahead and, you know, used to a quicker pace. So it sounds crazy coming out of my mouth that that's the best situation that, you know, the Westfield Public Schools can think of.
I'm confident that if your son is making a transition in January, that the onus is not going to fall on you to make sure that that transition is smooth for him.
Well, the onus has fallen on me to bring this attention for all of these students to the board. I have had to do it. Every issue that has come up, I have had to address. I have had to be relentless in seeking out all of the people who I needed to talk to, you know, to get to the point where I came up with a half solution that, you know, I don't believe will be beneficial for him in the long term. So I have no, you know, hope that it won't be on me.
I'm sorry. Anyone else from the public? Any other comments or questions? With that, I'd ask the board to approve the following resolution. Be it resolved that the Board of Education move into private session for the purpose of discussing personnel and legal matters rendered confidential by state and federal law. Resolved that any discussion held by the board which need not remain confidential and the results of the discussion will be made public as soon as practicable. Can I have a second? Ginny, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Can I just make one comment? In the notes, it said that we were coming back into public session after the private session? And if so, should we let the public be noticed on that?
I think it's possible. I don't know
Okay.
that's a fact, but I think it's possible. Yeah.
Okay.
If we need to, then we'll reopen it. But I guess at this point, we don't know for sure.
Right, correct.
Oh.
We are adjourned. Or we're going into private session. Sorry.
Public session is adjourned.